Well, it's hard enough to go on the last panel, but following that panel is extremely difficult. Anyway, I changed the name of the conference because we all know that's really what it is, right? I had ISOJ on there, but that's so boring. We all know who drives this, so figured, what the hell, maybe it catches on next year. So anyway, Aaron mentioned these are the 3 sites that we run, and I'm going to focus specifically on events because we could talk a lot about the overall strategy of what we're trying to do, and I will give you at least the basics here, and the resolution is unfortunately our logo is peeking out of the right there, but we'll ignore that. So the basics of what we're trying to do is we're trying to build local sites for kind of the 40 and under set, and the core tenets of it are they're designed for mobile first and foremost. We don't do pop-up ads, we don't do pop-under ads. We're very clean on the user experience, fast on load, heavy on attitude and voice. We're trying to have fun. We're trying to mirror the emotions people have in the course of their day. Heavily curated, so in the cities that we're in, if there's a good story that will be of interest to our audience, we will put it in our homepage stream regardless of whether we wrote it or not, and we'll link straight off to the original source and not rewrite it because we're trying to serve our readers, period. Not trying to serve our readers our stuff. We're trying to serve readers anything we think is of interest. We're all local all the time, which I think is an underappreciated advantage when every single thing on your site is about the city that you're covering, which a lot of people cannot do because of sort of legacy responsibilities from other platforms. Heavily distributed in social, and I'll talk about events a little bit here. And it's largely the reason we do events is that last bullet, is we're really focused on building deep relationships with consumers, both on platform and off platform, because we think that's the future of a local business model. Has to be a much more intense relationship with the reader than I think a lot of media organizations have right now with their organizations. So the mission's pretty simple. We feel like we need to build news brands that people love. Like it's not. The joke I keep making, it's a lot harder to monetize like a golf clap than it is like real passion. Like if people respect what you do and they kind of think it's kind of nice, you'll probably get some money out of them, but if they have a real passion for what it is you're doing, you can build a business off of that. So the old relationship of we'll kind of report from the outside and hope that you buy us because you think we do good work has to still be a part of it, but it's got to be a deeper connection than that. And I think the key for us is this. I mean, we do not do anything for page views. I mean, obviously we like page views, but we want to get page views the right way, which is we don't paginate. As I said before, we don't do slideshows for the sake of slideshows. We don't auto-reload any pages. We don't, as I mentioned earlier, don't aggregate. We don't rewrite other people's work to try to take a page view on the way through. The whole idea of the site is it's got to be easy for you to use. The concept we think of when we build the site is it should not be about time spent. It should be about time well spent. It should be if somebody gets in and out of the site in 20 seconds and gets what they want, I'm fine with that. I'd rather that than spending 90 seconds looking around for something and being kind of pissed off when you don't find it. So for us, it's all about serving the reader's need as quickly as humanly possible. And so we don't care about page views. What we want to do is build the passion and build a connection by doing the events thing. So our business model needs to reflect that, because who wants to spend their day chasing page views and impressions all day that are beyond what you can do in the normal course of your business? We didn't want to do that. So if it's hard enough to monetize a national business via display advertising, you sure as hell better not try to do it at a local level, because you're dealing with fewer people to begin with and a group that's probably equally willing to be angered by a lousy user experience. So we started with the idea that events had to be most of our revenue. And so why events, right? And none of these are probably surprises, but for the generation we're going after, the sort of 40 and under, and I'm sorry the M word's on here. I try never to use the word millennials in certain. But this is what the survey was, focusing on millennials. I think it's like a profanity at this point. It's such an overused word. But this Harris Interactive report from 2015 had some interesting data in it, which said more than 3/4 of millennials would choose to spend money on a desirable experience over buying something desirable. And it's that sort of sums up the phrase you see a lot in research about that younger generation, which is they prefer experiences over possessions. So good, let's give them experiences. More than half say they're spending more on events and live experiences than ever before. Almost 3/4 say they'd like to increase their spending on experiences, and more than 3/4 say their best memories are from an event or live experience, and 69% believe attending live events and experiences makes them more connected to other people, the community, and the world. So that starts to connect the passion to the sites that we're trying to build. And again, there's a few more survey things that are interesting. This one's from Splash in 2015, which is 56% say the reason they signed up for a brand's email list is because of an event. And that means you came to an event and we asked you to sign up, or you signed up because you wanted to get information about an event. And 2/3 of millennials said the reason they followed a brand on social media was because of an event. So it's a way to build a level of relationship. It's a lot harder to do within a relationship that's screen to screen. And again, this is what's the main reason you chose to go to an event? Almost 3/4 said this topic, speaker, music, entertainment, 56% networking, 53 free booze or food. That would have been 98 if it was only journalists polled. 47 free stuff or swag. So, and I'll talk a little bit about our events. The irony is our events, the only one of these four that we generally don't focus on is number one, which is we actually don't do a whole lot of programming. We actually have found that actually just putting a lot of people in a room who want to meet each other and getting out of the way is a much more effective event than having speakers or panels or something that's going to occupy a lot of the time. So, a couple of subtler benefits of doing events. Unlike online advertising, it deepens a consumer connection to the brand, and online advertising, let's be honest, at best it's a quid pro quo. You tolerate it because you want to support the work of the site that you're on, but no one ever says like, I wish these stories weren't here and I could just see all the ads, right? It's not really what people say on media sites. But if you can have somebody come to an event, have a great time for 90 minutes, 2 hours, and walk out talking about what a great time they had, you just made money and you're sending ambassadors back out there into the world. They like you more than they did when you walked in, and you have more money than you had when they walked in. So it's a nice way it's a way to not cut into the loyalty of your audience. So less subject to broader economic shifts. Certainly recessions will have an impact on events too, but less so than they will on advertising. One of the things, I've been doing local for a long time. One of the things I get tired of hearing is that local doesn't have advantages, national scales. There's so many things national can do that local can't do. One of the things that national can't do that local can do is take advantage of the fact that your audience is physically around you all the time. You can actually amass them in places and build, revenue and loyalty off of that. We don't talk about that enough. We have 750,000 people who read us in Philadelphia on an average month, and most of them, 70% of them, are in the Philadelphia area. So that's an awful lot of people that I have access to in a physical way that can help. And I think we need to think more about why that's important. And then the precise timing of events can speed up decision making. When you're a new site and you're a startup like we are, one of the hardest things to do is get people to spend money with you because they want to watch and want to watch you for a year before they buy any advertising. But if you have an event that speaks to people that they want to reach, and that event is on a specific day, they have to decide whether to spend money with you much earlier than if you're just waiting for them to get around to buying advertising for you. And a good example of this was Comcast, where obviously a huge Philadelphia company. Right when we launched Billy Penn, we had an event that we celebrated some of the hotter, the younger kind of up-and-coming entrepreneurs in Philadelphia, and they wanted access to those people. So they sponsored an event 4 months into our history, which we never would have gotten advertising money from them that quickly, but we had something of interest to them, and it forced a decision more quickly than normal. And now we're in a position where we get a fair amount of business from them. So the summary of, we did more than 70 events in 2016 across, this is just for the 2 sites, because we only had Denverite just joined our company about a month ago, and they'll do more than 100 in 2017. It was 86% of the revenue in 2015, 65% of the revenue last year. This year it'll probably be in the 50s, but that's only because we're making more money on organic advertising growth. We're not forcing that growth, but we just have more traffic, and as a result, we're making more money in advertising. So one of the questions that comes up is what kind of events do we do? Some of them are simple, right? Movie nights where you show a movie that's related to that particular city and you get people to come throw a couple of bucks in to see a film. We have beer tastings, trivia nights, watch parties around major events. All the sites that we had did parties around the 3 presidential debates. And just have people come out, sit around, watch something together, have a communal experience, get to do some branding for your site, get the word out about what you're doing, and make a little money in the process. Did a scavenger hunt in Philadelphia last year, and we've done tailgating parties at Pittsburgh Pirates opening day and Philadelphia Eagles. But the main ones are these Who's Next events that are listed at the top of this. And the Who's Next is just a simple concept. It's taking the 40 under 40 kind of thing and doing it every single month. So in Denver, well, I haven't done Denver yet, but in Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, every month we pick 15 to 20 people under the age of 40 in a particular category: health, education, entrepreneurship, philanthropy. and we just name our list of who's up and coming in that segment, and then we have a party for them. We give them a plaque and we honor them, and we sell sponsorships around that. We sell a food sponsorship, a drink sponsorship, an overall annual sponsorship. And then once a year in each city, we're actually doing it in Philadelphia next Wednesday. We have an event where we celebrate the entire year's worth of Who's Next folks that we've put in there. And we always are able to sell sponsorships against that because there's always somebody in that category who wants access to the people who are the up-and-coming people in health and education and entrepreneurship, period. So that's a very quick kind of summary of what it is that we do, and I'll be very glad to answer Jeff Jarvis's question later.